All right, welcome back. This is lesson 3. Today we're going to talk about cooking styles for meal preparation and how to make pre-made meals and how you can store your leftovers. So some cooking styles for meal preparation. These are objectives for it. So it's really just going to discuss different ways you can use the tools that you currently have in your kitchen to prepare food. We're also going to talk about how you can cook eggs multiple different ways, meal prep in regarding to eggs, yogurt, parfaits, and even oatmeal, so overnight oats. And we want you to identify signs of spoilage. So what exactly are alternative meal preparation techniques? Well, this is again just how you can use current tools in your kitchen in a multitude of different ways. So they're multi-use tools. You don't have to use them for the standard way of using them, if that makes sense. So for example, you have a waffle maker. Typically, this is used only to make waffles, but actually, you can use a waffle to make omelets or even eggs, brownies, quesadillas, sandwiches. The options are endless. You can actually just Google waffle maker recipes and you'll have thousands of recipes to choose from. So it's a multi-use tool. You don't have to use it in the standard way. Again, we have the air fryer, so you can reuse it to re-warm food or even cook food. So here you can use it for chicken, pizza, baked potatoes, cookies, roasting vegetables. I've even seen people make sourdough loaves in this. So the options are limitless for how you can utilize the tools that you currently have in order to meal prep or even to eat more healthy food. So we're gonna start with how you can use this with eggs. So hard-boiled eggs are a great meal prep option. They're very nutritious and they're full of protein. So they're really good on the snack or good snack on the go, good for salads, or even just part of your meal as well. So here's one option. You can boil them on the stove. You can put them in the microwave and probably put them in a bowl so they don't roll around. You're going to want to prick your egg with either a safety pin or a thumbtack. And this is really to make sure that the egg doesn't make a mess in the microwave. So it doesn't like break and get all over. You really don't want to clean that up. So make sure you really prick your egg with a safety pin or thumbtack if you're going to use this technique. And also for those of you in the dorms, you can cook eggs in a tea kettle. So you can use your hot water boiler or tea kettle and put some eggs in there. Make sure you really wash it out before and afterwards. And clean it. But yeah, this is a great way to make hard-boiled eggs if you're a student living on campus and you don't have access to a kitchen. In an oven, a muffin tin is a great way to meal prep eggs. You can put them in, as you can see, in the muffin tin and you just throw them in the oven for a recommended time and you're ready to go. You can either peel them or leave them as is in the refrigerator when you're meal prepping. Just make sure you mark if they're cooked or uncooked, right? So another favorite of mine are egg muffins. So these are really great for on the go. And they're also really good for meal prep because they last for 5 days in the refrigerator and they're going to last about 2 months in the freezer if you guys store them properly. And you can customize these with your favorite toppings. I like vegetables. My brothers like cheese and bacon. So the options are endless for these. They're really easy to eat. They're portable and so many options for them. Yogurt parfaits are really great as well. They'll last about 3 days in your refrigerator in the airtight container. You're going to want to put your granola on last, similar for the salad in the first lesson. If this is because you want the granola to maintain its crunchy texture. If you put it in the bottom, it's going to get soggy and not be as crunchy, right? So it's recommended that you put the granola on top, and then you can put your fruit and other toppings underneath that, and then your yogurt of choice on the bottom. And I thought this was pretty cool. That a small applesauce container, such as Mott's, will fit on top of their wide mouth mason jar. And that's another way to store it. So the lid so you have more options for fruit. It just gives you a little more extra room for your parfait on top of your granola. So there you go. Overnight oats, there's actually no cooking required with these oatmeal. So you just soak the oats overnight in your milk of choice. So you just throw all your ingredients in a Tupperware, you mix it up, put it in the fridge overnight, and put your favorite toppings on either before or after. And this will last about 5 days in your refrigerator. And if you don't like soggy or cold oatmeal, you can actually reheat this and then just add a little your milk of choice and you're good to go in the morning. So it's either hot or cold oatmeal. And again, I just want to reiterate, the size of the container doesn't really matter as much as having a lid that fits and is airtight. So as you can see on the right, these are two different ways to make overnight oats. You can either do it in a mason jar and mix it all together, or you can do it in a smaller container that's different. And these are some more examples. So on the left, as I said before, you can use a water bottle to store. That's an airtight container. The lid screws on properly, and that will store your food as well and keep it fresher longer. And again, we have on the right-hand side, there's different ways to pack your trail mix. So they have bigger bags, small bags, they even have Tupperware there. Some signs of spoilage that we want to know for eggs. A good egg will actually sink to the bottom, while a spoiled egg will float to the top. And this is because there's like gases forming from the spoiled egg. So it's going to make it more buoyant. So it's going to float to the top. So this is a fun trick to keep in mind. Next, we're going to move on to the pre-made meals and storing leftover section. So we're going to talk about how methods of storing your leftovers in the fridge and the freezer, how to store vegetables to last longer in your fridge and freezer as well, and how to apply concepts to recipes such as soups and crock pot. They're really great for meal prepping. So in your refrigerator, you want to store leftovers. So say you get takeout food, you need to place your leftovers within the refrigerator within like 2 hours. In order to put it in the fridge, again, you want to make sure it goes to room temperature. You want to store an airtight container or a plastic resealable bag. You can either store it as individual portions or all together in one container. Again, just make sure it's airtight and sealed properly. You want to label and date when you got your food. And this food will last between 3 to 4 days in your refrigerator. If you cannot eat your leftovers, say you made too much meal prep or you bought too much food, and you're like, hey, I could eat this for a meal for another day. If you can't eat it, don't feel like you have to force yourself. You can totally freeze it. Just follow the same principles we've been talking about. Put it in an airtight container, let it cool down, or let it cool down, put it in an airtight container, and you can just stick it in the freezer. And this can last for a couple of months as well. So if you can't eat it within the 3 to 4 days, don't feel like you have to throw it away immediately or force yourself to eat it. You can just put it in the freezer and have it another day. When you're storing leftovers in the freezer, cool the room to room temperature, store in airtight containers or plastic bags. Make sure you squeeze all the air out. Same thing like with meat. Try to get it flat. And yeah, you want to label and date your food as well. As you can see, they organize their leftovers and their vegetables in the freezer. So when you get your vegetables from the store, how can you make them last longer? So sometimes they go rotten a lot faster than you think, and this might be from the way you're storing them. So after you get your food from the store, you're going to want to wash your vegetables. You're going to want to dry it with paper towel. You don't want them wet going in the fridge or in your pantry. And you're going to want to store it appropriately based on what kind of vegetable it is. Again, damp vegetables will spoil faster. And you want to store your fruits and vegetables separately, which sounds kind of weird, but somehow they affect each other in the ripening process. So this are some examples of how you can store your vegetables. I actually use this for my celery and carrots because my dogs love carrots and we go through a lot of them. So I store carrots in water, actually, in a big Tupperware container in my refrigerator. These will last up to 2 weeks, maybe, and carrots will last in a month. Like in this kind of setting, I've also seen people do this with ripe avocados. You put it submerged in water in the refrigerator and they'll last about a month as well. For your herbs, you can either put them in water, you can cover them with a plastic bag, you can store them with a wet paper towel, dry paper towels. This method depends on the herb and it depends on what you have room for in your fridge, right? And on the right-hand side, we have how you can store them in your pantry. So you want to store your onions and potatoes separately, and those ones are best, they do best in the fridge or outside the refrigerator. They do best in the pantry. And these are some food storage tips. So this just tells you how you can store certain types of food. So for lettuce, you want to put it in your refrigerator and it's good for about 1 week. And it tells you what to avoid as well. Like you don't want to put your lettuce next to apples, pear, and you don't want it to have too much moisture next to it as well. So soup and crock pot meal storage. In the refrigerator, you want to make sure, again, to cool your food to room temperature after cooking it. You want to store in airtight containers, and you can either do single portion containers or just one big container, as long as the container is airtight. This will last 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator. And you're like, hey, I made too much. You can store this in the freezer as well. Same principles apply. Let it cool to room temperature. Store it in a freezer-safe plastic bag or airtight container. Again, squeeze out all the air if you're using a plastic bag. Seal it. Store it in a flat position. And this will last about 3 months in the freezer. So yeah, it's a great option for meal prep. And here's another image showing how you can meal prep and store meals in the freezer. So this is actually a meal that has not been cooked yet. This actually has all the ingredients in it. So I think this is pretty nifty. So it has the name, all the ingredients that are in it. You have also the instructions. So you're saying, hey, I found this recipe, I really liked it, and you can't find it again. This is a great way to do it. You can just make either a binder that you can have for your reference, or you can actually write it on the bag. So this is a really great way to meal prep meals before you actually cook them. So yeah. If you have any questions or concerns on this lesson, please feel free to discuss it in class, and I look forward to seeing you guys.